Good evening. This is the Ogden City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 2nd, 2014. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present, with the exception of Chair Heyer, who is asked to be excused. We will now have Council Member Blair lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Will the audience please rise and repeat the pledge after us? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. First up, we have an item of recognition. This is a joint resolution of the Ogden City Council and Mayor recognizing the Weber State University Val A. Browning Center for the Performing Arts for 50 years of service to the Ogden community. Whereas the Val A. Browning Center for the Performing Arts has served the Ogden community as a central arts venue and community gathering place during the past 50 years. It has hosted famous performers and presenters, including the Carpenters, Kenny Rogers, President Ronald Reagan, Fred Rogers, Jacques Cousteau, Senator Orrin Hatch, and Neil Armstrong. And whereas Weber State University began constructing the Fine Arts Center, later the Browning Center, in its campus in 1962. The center was dedicated on December 13th, 1964. Phase 2, which included the Little Theater and Cellar Theater, later the Allred and Monson Theaters, was completed in 1966. And whereas in 1967, Val A. Browning donated funding for the University Convocation Program and also provided contributions for the purchase of a Busendorfer piano, Allen Digital Computer Grand Concert Organ, and a sound system. His profound generosity and commitment to the arts were instrumental in the development of art facilities and programs at Weber State University. In 1978, the College Fine Arts Center was renamed the Val A. Browning Center for the Performing Arts in honor of his tremendous support. Even after his death, his legacy and influence have continued to touch lives and promote local arts. And whereas in the 1980s, the floor of Ostad Stage was replaced and became the finest ballet performance area in the region. Additionally, the installation of a Wenger full-state acoustical shell brought near-perfect acoustics to Ostad Auditorium. In 1997, the facility was closed for further remodeling and expansion. This project was completed to address fire and seismic requirements and to better meet the needs of students. In 1999, the remodeled building was reopened and rededicated, becoming Northern Utah's largest performing arts facility and an ideal venue for many of the world's top performers. And whereas the Browning Center has served hundreds of thousands of individuals in Ogden City and surrounding areas and countless Weber State University students, the Browning Center also houses the Department of Performing Arts, which offers quality programs of study in dance, music, and theater. It hosts more than 300 events and welcomes more than 100,000 patrons each year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell proudly recognize the Val A. Browning Center for the Performing Arts for serving as an invaluable community edifice for the past 50 years. We encourage the community to become involved in the numerous events planned to honor and recognize the long-standing benefits of the Browning Center in our community. We express our sincere appreciation for the incredible efforts and contributions of Weber State University faculty, staff, and students, and all others who have contributed to the longevity and success of the Browning Center. We are confident that this state-of-the-art facility will continue being enjoyed for many generations to come.
With that, I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt Joint Resolution 2014-16, recognizing the Weber State University Val A. Browning Center.
I second it.
We have a motion from Councilmember Blair and a second from Councilmember Stevens. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. I have some plaques up here to distribute if anybody dares.
And we'll take some pictures as you're up here. If you want to bring your family, we can do the whole picture together.
Let me open this one.
Oh, thank you.
Boxes for you to take them home.
Yeah, I really wish you could dancing.
Thank you. So we would love comments if you feel like sharing with us.
Thank you.
Mayor Caldwell and members of the City Council, thank you so much. Weber State really appreciates this recognition. We couldn't have the Valet Browning Center were it not for the community support and the support of you all. So thank you.
Thank you. I think we've all spent many an evening there. So thanks for spending time with us on your busy week.
Thank you.
Next, we have an item of common consent, which is consideration of the appointment of Ross H. Peterson and the reappointments of Robert Herman and Janeth Wright to the Planning Commission.
I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt the items listed under common consent.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Blair and a second from Councilmember White. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Next, we have a report from the Planning Commission. This is on a landscaping ordinance amendment. Mr. Montgomery.
Good evening. You have before you tonight a recommendation from the Planning Commission regarding a petition that had been filed to amend the zoning ordinance regarding how landscaping takes place for apartment buildings in commercial zones. Our present standard is such that we require 1 tree per unit. And while in residential zones that seems to work because we have a lot more land required for units in a project. As a project came forth in the commercial zone, the concern was, and I'm just going to show the site plan here. It's a 63-unit project, and as you can see, because it's in the commercial area where there's small setbacks and only a 10% landscaping requirement, trying to get 63 trees on this site became very difficult, in addition to the 500 some odd shrubs required by the ordinance too. Because in commercial zones, you have a much smaller setback, and sometimes you don't even have a setback on the front, trying to create more of an urban feel. And then when you have only a 10% landscaping requirement, part of that being landscaping in the parking lot, to try to get that many trees for a building that may be 4 stories, has underground parking, those type of things, because it's trying to utilize the lot, it's very difficult to try to put that many trees in there. And even if you could, they would not be healthy. They wouldn't. After a few years, there'd be some very difficult situations taking place in terms of overcrowding and then have to be cut out. And if there was part of the condition of approval, you'd have a difficult time to try to balance the requirement of approval versus what's practical. So as we discussed this item in the Planning Commission, We referred more to the standard we have in commercial zones for non-residential structures of 1 tree per 1,000 square feet of landscaped area. Generally, you figure a typical tree may cover 650 to 750 square feet of area underneath it. And so this 1 per 1,000 allows you to have some areas where it's sun, allows you to have some areas where the shade is created. And we felt, as the Planning Commission discussed this, that this be a more practical solution to these commercial apartment buildings. So the Planning Commission's recommendation to you is to revise the ordinance regarding apartments in commercial zones to allow them to have the 1 tree per 1,000 square feet rather than 1 tree per apartment unit. And so that's what this revision is that's before you tonight for consideration.
We suggest what type of trees should be planted or shrubbery, because I know in residential, some of the trees that are in the parking or strip is picking up the cement and causes us a little problem in that aspect.
For the street trees in the park strip, yes, we do have certain requirements of what types they are. On the private property, we generally just review their landscape plan to make sure they're really not a problem tree in terms of weak wood or something that would cause damage. But we really don't have the same requirements as we do with the street trees on public property because they are responsible for the maintenance of these trees, where the public property, we have some responsibilities there.
As we move into more of this form-based planning, whatever, does that, is the requirements, are they going to be the same? Are they going
They'll
to
probably shift again.
shift again?
Which way will they shift?
It depends, because part of the concept is as you become more urban, the landscaping reduces in the form-based code ideas, because you're looking more at the density and higher concentration of uses. And so you would have less maybe tree requirements, that maybe more shrubs and less trees, because your spaces get tighter. So that's part of that form-based code. You've got what they call transects, and each one has its own feel that you're trying to create by that. And so it depends which area it is in, what the landscaping standard would be.
And so this is a drastic reduction in the number of trees required. And you're a tree guy. You're comfortable with it.
Yes, because again, you need to have room for trees to grow. And as we looked at this would just became too tight. You would just have maintenance nightmares in terms of you'd be cutting trees out to try to keep them healthy after a few years. You could plant them initially and plant that many, but then you got to have room for the trees.
So I guess the question is, do you feel good about the balance of green space and vegetation in relation to the building, hard surfaces?
Yeah, when you look at the commercial standard of the 10% landscaping and then 6% being in parking lots, that seems to be functional. I think if we try to increase that, then it's really not commercial. It becomes more residential in character. And that's why the ordinance works in R4 and R3 zones and those type of things, because you have the land for it. And those open space amenities are more important, where in commercial areas, you're looking more streetscape and what happens in the front of the building, because you really want them up closer to the street. And you don't want to make, when you think of a residential zone, you've got 20 to 30 foot front yard setbacks. Here, you may only have 5 feet. And so you just don't have that space to make it work. But again, that's the feel you want to have when you're in a tight, compact area. And the street trees then help do the softening effect.
And currently, we required 5 shrubs. We're just removing that? The 5 shrubs is no longer required?
Right. And again, in the commercial zone, again, because of those spaces. But we leave that up to them of how they do it. And as we try to encourage more water conservation, the shrubs become a better way to do it than the grass. And so those are things that they take into account as they bring their plans into us to review.
So it makes sense in this particular instance. If you look at other areas that we might have the same potential problem, do you see that this can,
When we looked at it, we looked at that fact that in commercial zones, we have that 10% landscaping requirement. And as we then started to look at tree scenarios, we felt, okay, this seems to be universally applicable for concerns in commercial zones. But in the residential zones, we don't want to change the provision. We think the provision we created was a good one.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, at this point, we will receive public input on this landscaping amendment. Seeing no movement, is there further discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion then that we adopt proposed ordinance 2014-45.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Garner and a second from Councilmember Blair. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
I,
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Vice Chair Goffner?
Aye, that passes. Next, we have public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Kerry Wayne. I live at 309 South, 1200 West in Marriott, Slaterville. I don't know if you remember me. I stopped in a few weeks ago, talked to you about it when you were doing the BDO rezoning. What I'm here tonight to talk to you about is the fact that this last 3 weeks has been very unpleasant in that area over there. They're doing the Mayfield warehouse, and the construction has started at 3 o'clock from the 17th to the 20th. I contacted the mayor's office. Cindy Wheeloff was kind enough to contact the Boyer Corporation. Boyer came back with an email, told her that they would make some adjustments to the site and basically try to control what was going on there. Then the following week, it started out the same way. Again, construction starts at 3 o'clock. That's when they pour. They're doing prep before that. Again, I contacted the planning. I talked to Rick Grover, and I said, you know that they're doing this at 3 o'clock in the morning? He goes, oh, I didn't know that. And I said, well, we need to do something about it. I need sleep, and I don't think it's appropriate that this goes on. The acoustics of the area, the warehouses, generate the noise directly to the west where I live. Again, I was told that they were in violation. Rick said that they probably were in violation of a couple policies regarding noise ordinance and the operation of construction equipment, and that he was going to notify them that they needed to get a variance. So I thought that there was going to be a stop to the project. Again, Monday night at 2:15, I get awoken because of the fact that they're starting their pour at 2 o'clock now, not at 3. I called the police, told them, I said they were doing this without a variance, they need to get this settled. I also called Mayor Caldwell's office and mentioned to him, I wanted to invite you down to the site because I think it's inappropriate. At any rate, they went ahead and I got a call from Boyer the next day, also called Big D, talked to them about it as well. In the meantime, the mayor had gone ahead and signed a variance rather than talking to me. I still haven't heard from your office, and I think that's unacceptable. It's not neighborly. Again, I talked with Blake Wallen at Boyer. I said, if you'll do the things you were told, or that you said you'd do, I said, we wouldn't have a problem. So they went ahead and they've changed the way they've done it. The lights are off now. Their arc lights are working under. It lights up my whole house. At any rate, they have done that. Last night was the first peaceful night I've had in quite a while, and I appreciate what Boyer did. Again, it's not my fault that they started so late in the season. They said that they're having to do these early pours because of the fact that they started so late. What I'm here to ask Ogden City, because again, Blake mentioned that they're going to keep coming west with their construction. And what I would like to see is that Ogden City put something in place for overnight construction, because I think that you need to do it. It's not, like I said, it's going to affect the people here in your city as well. But like I said, for right now, it's unpleasant for us, and I'd like something done.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments? Comments from the mayor?
Sure, Mr. Wayne, I appreciate your comments and coming. We certainly had a lot of dialogue with Boyer and with the construction group that's out there. Blake had been out at 3 or 4 in the morning, recorded it. We asked him to change the direction of traffic, the way everything flowed. So I feel bad that you feel our office didn't address it, because we certainly did, and we want to minimize impacts wherever possible. So we'll take your feedback, and we'll certainly have dialogue of what we think is fair, and if there are emergency circumstances, we'll carefully measure those. So I appreciate you coming and allowing your voice to be heard. And Cindy's really good about directing people to where they can get some help, and that's certainly the intent. When people call, we try to make sure that that's certainly listened to. I don't always jump in front of everything, because we have people that are boots on the ground that are a lot better and a lot more technical at that than me, so I feel bad that you feel your office, or that your questions weren't answered when you called our office. So we did work on that, and again, I appreciate your comments. They're well taken. Then I'd personally like to thank everybody that was involved in Saturday night's big kickoff and party downtown. That was a pretty amazing group of people to see. I don't know who called in the good weather, but they need to get a bonus or a stipend. That was one of the biggest events I've seen in our downtown, certainly in the winter months, in a long time. And I think our department directors, almost to the person, all participated in that, with public safety and police, and Jay's group setting up, and they'll be the ones tearing down. Unfortunately, it's a never-ending project for them, but again, I can't pass our gratitude on strong enough, so thank you all for that.
Council members?
Maybe just to second a little bit, I haven't seen the Christmas parade so full as it was this year. And as the mayor said, the weather was fantastic. I think our Christmas Village Committee did a wonderful job, and Jay Louder and the Parks and the Ogden City, wonderful. Thank you.
I think the Christmas Village is a focal point this time of the season for our city, and it sets the spirit of the season. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the parade. There was, 10 rows of people?
At least I've heard between 12 and 20,000 people. I don't know who does the head count there, but it seems like a pretty broad estimate to me.
It was a good event. And Caitlin, I think we have some scouts in the audience. I'm not sure that we probably need to recognize.
We'll work on them. If any other comments from council members? I'll just put one more plug in for Christmas Village. You can vote online for your favorite Christmas Village house too. So do we have some scouts here? Are you?
3 of them. We'd
love you to come up to the microphone and tell us what merit badge you're working on, and give us your name. We would have had you do the pledge if you'd been here a little bit sooner.
My name is James Bunnell. Do I have to state my address?
Just what merit badge you're working on.
I'm working on the citizenship in the community.
Thank you.
Ralph, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Thank you.
I am Brandon Ralph, and I am working on citizenship in the community.
All right. Well, thanks for being here tonight. And with that, I think we're done. There's a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Councilmember Garner and a second from Councilmember Wicks. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. And just a reminder, we do have a city council work session to discuss open meetings and conflict of interest training, and talk about mid-year fee proposals and proposed ramp projects. Whew.